We've got ones that can see. Welcome everybody to today's show. This is an important video because if people out there who are asleep pay attention to this, then maybe their brain will start working and they'll start thinking to themselves, well, I guess this isn't just some potential crazy conspiracy theory. Because when we all talk about stunt doubles, we're really always talking about how a lot of these operatives in the government wear masks. We've talked about Joe Biden not even being the real Joe Biden. There's so many theories out there that aren't theories and shouldn't even be theories, that the evidence itself shows that this is what the government is doing, but the majority of people hear it and they automatically dismiss it. When we talk about masks, they automatically dismiss it. When we talk about a lot of these celebrities being the opposite gender of what they claim, the majority of people dismiss it. And it's understandable why they dismiss it, because it just is very difficult to wrap your head around. I remember when I first woke up and hearing about some of these female celebrities being transgender was hard for me to wrap my head around until I really started seeing it more and more and realizing it, and then understanding Satan's plan of deception, of making men attracted to other men that they were perceived as women. And of course, then we saw the huge trans movement. So there's lots of things that are difficult for the common person to wrap their head around. The masks is a real difficult one. When we talk about mask wearing, people out there literally just start thinking to themselves, a mask like going to Party City or going to Spirits for Halloween and getting a Joe Biden mask and putting it on. Yeah, that doesn't look really realistic. But now that Mission Impossible is coming out again, the concept of masks is circulating because the movie really features a lot of different characters wearing masks and removing masks, and it looks realistic in the movies, but the majority of people go, well, that's just in a movie. Tom Cruise pulling his mask off in all the Mission Impossibles and then revealing that it's Tom Cruise, that's movie magic, that's Hollywood. But now we're getting more truth in plain sight. And once again, this former CIA chief is showing up on national news and talking about how the CIA has the ability to do this, how they've been doing it for a long period of time, how they could put a mask on in a parking lot in under 10 seconds and transform into a different person and nobody out there would be able to notice. Now, they're revealing this stuff for a reason. They're revealing it because obviously their technology is so much far advanced, even to the point where we know they're using Tesla bots as human beings wearing masks. They're not even using humans at this point that they're showing to us. But they're revealing these things because the majority of people laugh off and dismiss everything. And the truth is right in front of our faces. So before I show you this clip from CBS Mornings, where they'll even show you the CIA chief sitting in a meeting, removing a mask in front of George Bush back in the 90s, which tells you, of course, two things, right? We all know how wicked the Bush family is. We know George Bush's connection to Skull and Bones, the whole family, Prescott Bush. We know the connection, of course, with a lot of mysterious events that aren't so mysterious that George Bush had his hand in. Then, of course, George Bush Sr. is the most noted politician for openly talking about how they'll bring in a new world order, right? So I'll show you those clips in a second. But remember some of the stuff, the real easy ones to show people who are still asleep. Joe Biden's a perfect example. You just look at Joe Biden from the 80s to the 2000s to 2019. It is not the same person. This is not somebody aging. You could look at pictures of a relative of yours. Look at your dad and then look at your dad when he's in his 70s, or your grandparents when they were younger and what they look like now or may have looked like before they passed. Yeah, of course, they look old. They'll have gray hair. Their facial features won't be the same. They'll have wrinkles. But you could clearly tell the 2019 version of Joe Biden is nowhere near the same person. Now, the majority of sheeple will say that's because of plastic surgery. He got plastic surgery at 80 years old for no apparent reason, right? Look at all the photos of Joe Biden where you can see that he's actually wearing a mask. You can even see how loose in some of the photos the masks are on his chin. Now, Melania Trump is another one I've discussed, right? Where they joke in public about Melania Trump having a stunt double because a lot of times it doesn't even look like the same person, where Trump is standing next to Melania Trump and you go, wait, who is that? Is that his granddaughter? Is that some new fling that he has? Is that some person in his cabinet? No, that's Melania Trump, but it doesn't even look like Melania Trump. So people caught on to that with Melania Trump. And then, of course, the mainstream media, Saturday Night Live, Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, they would do skits about it, desensitizing people to the actuality that it's not the real Melania Trump, that these people do use doubles, that they do wear masks, right? And of course, that was even one of those things when we talk about predictive programming on The Simpsons, where the masks were removed during a political debate to show you reptilians underneath. So this is a clip that aired on CBS Mornings, okay? And I want you to note some of the stuff in there, including how giggly the two newscasters are, because this is a Tavistock technique. They're giggling over the ability, wow, this stuff could really be happening from the movies in real life. Instead of telling the audience out there about the dangers, the implications of what their government is actually doing and potentially how they could be deceiving the same people they're supposedly working for since they're supposedly elected, right? Instead, the anchors just giggle and giggle and giggle like school children because they can't believe like some of the stuff in Mission Impossible is real, but they know exactly what's going on because the majority of stuff we see in movies is in actuality is what is really happening in the real world. It's predictive programming. The stuff we're seeing on the news is actually what's fiction. So here is the clip of them openly talking about masks, how they've been wearing masks, how regular people would never be able to tell that they're wearing masks, how George Bush knew about this, and how the government has been doing this for a long period of time, and they know the people are so stupid now that they would never think twice that some people actually in power right now could not be who they say they are.
Speaking of blockbuster movie franchises, if you haven't heard, we are celebrating Mission Impossible Week here on CBS Mornings, plus ahead of Friday's release of Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. And all of those heart-pounding scenes of drama, the spy action over the years, it might have you wondering, how much of that mask-wearing, self-destructing instruction stuff hanging from the airplane wings, how much of that goes down in real life? The CBS News Confirmed team brought us a guest who can answer all of our burning spy questions. She may have to kill us. Let's welcome Jonah Mendez, who may have had the world's best job title ever, CIA Chief of Disguise. Jonah, welcome. I hope I'm saying your name right, or is that also a disguise? Maybe I'm deepening the undercover here. Do I have it right?
You know, it's actually Jonna. I was my father, I think, was hoping for a boy, so he just threw an A on the end.
I love that.
I love it, John. My apologies. It's really great to have you here. Because of your background and your knowledge, when you're watching a movie like Mission Impossible, does it seem on some level silly to you?
Some of it seems silly. Some of it is just plain old fun.
So, Jonna, Mission Impossible is known for, especially when Tom Cruise takes off that mask. Is there any kind of technology that achieves that in the real world of intelligence?
Well, the movies have a lot of options that real life does not offer to you. But the idea of a mask that you could quickly put on, quickly take off was very real and something that we used with some discretion, but we used it when we needed it and got great results.
Did I read that you had a mask that made you look like an African-American man? Is that right?
That was probably the first one that I took public. That means within the CIA. I briefed some directors and told them we had this capability. We were looking to be able to change your gender and your ethnicity and even perhaps create a twin if we needed that.
Hold on. So, in your estimation, how lifelike, realistic are the masks? If you were in the room with this person wearing the mask, would you notice that it's a mask?
You would not notice unless you told a really hysterical joke and the person couldn't laugh hysterically. It had limits. It could smile, couldn't laugh hysterically.
I know.
I wore those masks in a couple of pretty tight situations, and no one knew until I announced it.
Jonna, is it right that you wore that in front of George H.W. Bush, and could he tell?
I did wear it. Brent Scowcroft was in the room, Bob Gates, John Sununu, Judge Webster. No one. Judge Webster knew because he was head of the CIA at the time. No one else had any idea until I took it off.
I had no idea.
So you did it just to show them that this was possible, is that right?
Absolutely. I wanted the president to see that we had taken disguise to a really dramatically new level.
Did you take one home as a souvenir? Are you in that? Is that you? Are you in there? Is that you in the mask?
This is just me. And in the image, yeah, that's me.
What?
Taken off my head.
What?
And John Sununu had not been listening. He'd been working on his own notes. So he just glanced up when I did that, and he let out this funny little noise, like not a shriek, somewhere between a shriek and a squeak.
So full disclosure, on our call about today's show yesterday, I had to do kid pickup at the same time. I missed this briefing, and nothing has prepared me for what we're talking about right now. And this is really quite mind-blowing.
So I read that the mask had to be something you could put on in 10 seconds or take off, and you didn't need a mirror as well.
Wow.
But you could put it on in a parking garage without a mirror in the dark.
So, Jonna, did you take one home as a souvenir? And why are you sharing this publicly now? Isn't this secret information?
It has been declassified. I don't know anymore what that means. It may mean that they're using something else instead of what we're showing. I didn't take one home. There was only one when I left the CIA, and I saw it some years later. Someone brought it up from the archives, and it's turned green, so it's not usable. It's also not meant to last long.
Can you say what the material? Can you say what the material was?
Probably not. They'll come and get me.
Okay, all right.
So, of course, you see the frightening reality there, right? You see them, the duping delight of the news anchors. Instead of saying to the audience and being actual journalists, hey, this is extremely dangerous. Could you be using this type of, trickery against your own people? I mean, why were you wearing, and they go, well, because they're spies. Spies have to wear different masks when they're going over to Russia and they want you to think of this illusion like the Bourne Identity movies. People are going around spying on other countries who are doing these horrible things, right? But you're actually just getting duped every single day right in front of you. And it starts with even people like Joe Biden, where we can clearly see that this is not the same person. And everybody out there's been screaming about it for years. Well, now that they're admitting to you that the ability they have with masks is beyond your comprehension, that if you think that the ability they have is just what you see at a party store, then you're probably born with a sheeple tattoo on your forehead. The government's been able to do this for a long period of time. And one of the things I think that they're doing, just like they're talking about the chemtrails and banning chemtrails, declassifying this stuff, is because their technology is obviously so much more further advanced, and the people are so dumbed down that they can admit to you these things now. And they can admit it, and nobody out there is going to do anything about it. I think part of the test run was everything that happened with COVID. Nobody rose up against that. Even in Canada, the truckers getting their bank accounts frozen. Another test experiment that the government did. How will people respond? Will there be a mutiny on their hand? Will there be a rebellion on their hand? What are people saying on the internet? They're revealing all this stuff, and the common response for most of the people who have been trained to be sheeple is they laugh it off and they dismiss it. Oh, the government has masks. And then they start talking, I wonder if they had Halloween parties and they dressed up as one another. But they never think for 1 second that some of these people who might not even be who they claim to be, who are representing you in Congress. Remember the Illuminati card game even had the unmasked card in there. And Joe Biden, again, perfect example we've all talked about over the years. People should be looking at stories like this and saying, yeah, have we been duped? Is it the same guy? I mean, he looks different. Wild theories over Joe Biden, right? How about all those clips of Joe Biden's mask coming off that I've shown in the past, where you can see his neck, where the phlegm, the fat on his neck. You just see that it's a mask that he's actually wearing. Here are a couple of clips of him on the news where you could see the actual mask itself underneath his chin, how it's draping down. It's not some old man turkey neck That's because he's wearing a mask. His head doesn't even match his neck. If you look at this first clip, his head, look at his head and his face and his neck. They're two different colors.
You have to right the market a little bit here. And the market is that if you have all of the tax breaks, essentially all the tax breaks, all of the benefits flowing to the top 1/10 of 1%, there's never been as great a concentration of wealth, including going back to the Great Depression.
Right.
Ever.
Every circumstance where a large number of people have been victimized and lost, I spoke with them. I learned a long time ago that you've all learned in your life. When someone's going through something that is beyond their comprehension, that they never thought they'd have to go through, if they see someone who they think understands or maybe been through something not the same but similar, it gives them some sense of hope. And I always get criticized sometimes with my staff because when I go to these events, I stay for 3 to 4 hours and answer all their questions. But it matters. It matters a lot. And look, I'm talking, some of you have gone through a hell of a lot more than I've gone through.
Right? And that's one of the reasons that you'd have all these theories about, well, which Joe Biden's going to show up? The Joe Biden that can't complete a sentence, or the Joe Biden, whoa, he sounds very smart today and articulate? Because there's different people underneath the mask. In fact, there's other theories out there that we've all discussed, including Joe Biden from time to time actually being one of these Tesla bots. They walk identical to one another. Why is it out of the realm of possibility to put one of these masks on one of these Tesla bots and let it walk around in public? Of course it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's only out of the realm of possibility for the sheeple because they want nothing to do with any of these theories because it blows their mind. It's like a scanner's moment. Their heads explode. It's so much for them to comprehend that they just refuse to do it, right? Remember, look at these clips. Tell me that they're not identical.
And then we've progressed dramatically year after year.
Looking good, guys.
So if you extrapolate this...
Here. Tesla Boomer Mama wants you. Come here.
So again, I mean, it's so clear, and it should be clear to people out there that refuse to believe this technology exists. And when we all talk about this stuff, the first thing they do is go, oh, there's crazy conspiracy theory. You're talking about Joe Biden wearing a mask, not even being the same person. Well, when they come out on television, the CIA, and they show you even images that this former CIA chief showed you sitting in the Oval Office with President Bush wearing a mask as a black woman or a different, woman ethnicity, then removing the mask in front of everybody. Nobody could even tell. And that's back in the 90s. We're in 2025 now, okay? Their technology is so far advanced, whether it's mask technology or whether it's the stuff with Tesla bots, because they have more advanced artificial intelligence robots out there than just what we see with the Tesla bot. They don't want you to think that they have more advanced technology than what you see, because people will be scared all of a sudden if they could see how dangerous these Tesla bots could be. So that's why they make them walk around slowly and make them look like, oh, they can't move that well, or, oh, I don't have to worry about anything. I could push this thing over. They could barely move its arms, right? Yeah, it's way more advanced than you could possibly imagine. These celebrities use doubles, but we're not talking about doubles that are getting makeup on their face, that some actor. There's people that are wearing masks pretending to be people that they're not. The Joe Biden clips that I showed you, it's very clear. When he talks a certain way, then he acts a different way. And then people just go, well, it's probably because he's tired today, or, Joe's in a better spirits this day. It's because there's different people playing roles. None of these people that present themselves in front of us are even in the locations that they're in. Most of them are in front of green screens anyway. But they're not who they claim to be. This entire thing is a ruse. I mean, we've all been duped. But now is the time for people to wake up to this stuff. When you have the CIA revealing themselves, okay, and they're using Mission Impossible deliberately so that people out there think it's kind of like, oh, wow, this is so cool. It's so neat. That stuff could actually be real. Oh, we could actually do it in situations like in spy movies. They're doing it to you every day. The government, Hollywood, they're doing it to you. They're duping you. A lot of these celebrities aren't even alive anymore, are out there wearing masks because they keep them alive. They need to keep them alive because they invest so much time into them as social influencers that if something was to really happen to one of them, they'll just use a mask to keep them alive and have someone else play the role. Why? because they're social influencers. If they have a huge following, they need these people because they're the ones that manipulate your behavior. And if you haven't noticed, that's what this is all about. Behavioral control. Everything you see going on in China, everything you see at the World Economic Forum, all of these massive corporations like Vanguard and BlackRock, the one thing they keep coming back to is behavioral control, which means they want to control your behavior, which is how we've gotten to this point of infighting and insanity among civilians, because they're working you with all of these stories that they make up every day and put on the news, because they're trying to bring in laws that are going to control your behavior. They're trying to get you to act a different way than you might naturally be. They're trying to mold you into the perfect citizen in their eyes, which is a fully compliant sheep. That's what they want. So these mask operations are 100% legit. It's always a good opportunity to tell people and show people these things around times like this, right? And just get them to go, well, yeah, they could do that stuff like in a Hollywood movie. No, they're doing it in the real world. If they have the ability to do that, who are they duping? Oh, are we duping Russian spies? Haven't you noticed the government hates you? Left or right? Haven't anybody noticed since they locked you up and quarantined you, told you to wear a diaper in your ears? The government hates you. That should have been your ultimate wake-up call if you didn't notice by 2020 yet. That should have been something where you go, you know what? These people are a-holes. I don't trust these people. Look what they're doing to all of us. Infighting, locking us up, taking our jobs away, telling us to poison ourselves. Okay, well, now you see that they don't like you. So why wouldn't they do these things to manipulate you? Pretending to be, oh, this is the person that we elected as president. You didn't elect anybody. The people up there talking half the time aren't who they claim. How do you think they're in so many places at once? You think an 80-year-old man like Biden is flying overseas every weekend and then he's going speaking here, taking a helicopter there? Yeah, Donald Trump's going all over the place every single day, right? Half the time, these people aren't even above ground. They have people wearing masks doing the job for them because they're actors and they're acting their way into dividing and conquering us into a new world order. And the masks play a huge part in the deception that's going on out there. So hopefully people out there would see a clip like that and start saying to themselves, wow, they really have that type of technology, but way more advanced. Could they use it for evil against us? You bet your bottom dollar they can, and they are. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.